So I'll be talking about the imaging-centric definition of non-paraneoplastic autoimmune retinopathy. So the definition of AIR is a rare, vision-threatening retinal disorder caused by misdirected immune response in which autoantibodies are targeted against the retinal proteins, leading to extensive photoreceptor degeneration. Patients often manifest with subacute vision loss, photopsias, nyctalopia, scotomas, and dyschromatopsia. Now, the pathophysiology is that it is associated with anti-retinal antibodies triggered by molecular mimicry. There are two primary subtypes, the paraneoplastic type and the non-paraneoplastic type. So, in this talk, I'll be only concentrating on the non-paraneoplastic type. Now, this is a diagnosis of exclusion, and the proposed essential diagnostic criteria by an expert panel suggested that there should be no apparent cause responsible for the visual function abnormality. There should be ERG abnormality with or without visual field defect, presence of serum anti-retinal antibodies, absence of fundus lesions and retinal degeneration or dystrophy that may explain the visual function loss, and absence of overt intraocular inflammation. The supportive criteria that they suggested were symptoms of scotomas, dyschromatopsia or nyctalopia. There should be a family history or personal history of autoimmune disease, and core diagnostic tests should be done to rule out malignancy. So the problem with this criteria was that there were overlapping clinical features between NPAIR and other forms of retinal degenerations, and the fact that anti-retinal antibody was considered an essential criteria for diagnosis. Now the problem is that there is lack of evidence of pathogenicity, lack of standardization of this testing, and low specificity of the results. So this is the latest research in this direction, where a group of experts studied non-paraneoplastic AIR and concluded that these patients show subacute asymmetric generalized photoreceptor degeneration featuring outer retinal atrophy with relative foveal sparing, retinal vascular attenuation, absence of bone spicules, and speckled hypoautofluorescence in a perimacular and perivenular distribution. And the findings of this study were intended to support the diagnostic criteria that were previously described. So I'll show my case of non-paraneoplastic AIR. This was a 30-year-old female who presented with decreased vision for the past 6 months. On wide field fundus photography, you see that there is retinal vascular attenuation, absence of bone spicules. Autofluorescence shows perimacular and perivenular speckled hypoautofluorescence, and there is a hyperfluorescent ring at the macula. On OCT, as described in the study, we see that there is sparing of foveal outer retinal bands with a tapered transition zone to outer band loss. So this is the typical feature of non-paraneoplastic AIR. ERG showed subnormal response in amplitude as well as delayed implicit times under both photopic and scotopic. So you see that the A and B waves both are flattened in both light and dark adapted states, which means that there is diffuse retinal dysfunction. Visual fields typically show constriction with central vision sparing. In early cases, there may be enlarged blind spot. There are very few studies who have actually shown fluorescein angiography features. I found one case report which showed that there was severe peripheral retinal vascular occlusion, and this is what is seen in my case as well. OCTA showed reduced deep vessel density in the perifoveal and parafoveal zones and a decrease in macular thickness. So you see the reduced density there. And study which studied 5 patients of OCTA in non-paraneoplastic AIR showed the same findings. So to summarize, the most important clinical features are subacute asymmetric generalized photoreceptor degeneration, retinal vascular attenuation, absence of bone spicules, stippled hypoautofluorescence in perimacular and perivenular distribution, sparing of foveal outer retinal bands, and decreased A and B waves in both scotopic and photopic tests. So the conclusion from this study is that they want to suggest that the anti-retinal antibody testing should be a supportive criteria, and these characteristic imaging features should be important in making a diagnosis. Thank you.